Welcome back, everybody. I'm Zell, and I know you've been waiting on this. This is the Roxi. This is a design by my brother and myself. We are Todd Knife and Tool, or TKT, as indicated right there on the blade of this little booger. And I'm going to give you some stats, go over the knife, go over why it's here, and what its intentions were. And we're not really going to review it because, I suppose I could, but probably not the best thing to do. I'll let others rip on it. So the Roxi came out of some things, some small things. You see, I really liked small but heavy-duty knives. Whether it's a pillar or whether it's a Spyderco, what's the little Spyderco? I should know this because it's kind of what inspired these things. Techno. But the Techno frustrated us both, my brother and I both, because it was this little knife with this stupid thick blade stock, and on top of it, it was only right-handed. It was somewhat not difficult to deal with left-handed, but you couldn't deal with it left-handed the same way you dealt with it right-handed. So it was frustrating to us, and that is where the Roxi came from, was out of that frustration and our enjoyment of these small, heavy-duty knives. And there you go. That's what brought the Roxi on. And if you watch some of the early videos, you have to go way back. There are some early iterations of how we kind of settled on a design motif and stuff. And the Roxi is kind of where all of that came together, where the lines on the frame came together, where the fullers came together, and where some of our philosophy really started to gather up. So a lot of you are going to ask why we did the finger choil the way we did. And that is a very valid question, because you've got other knives out there, like this little guy's got a much bigger choil. Well, maybe not that much bigger, but a bigger choil. And it runs right up against the blade. And many of you are saying, ooh, I get all that cutting edge. Well, I want you to really look at this. You're not gaining any cutting edge with that bigger choil. It just feels like it. Now, there are other knives that do a better job of that, and you do gain a little bit. But here's what we ran into. If you do the choil like that, and you happen to be holding a knife back here, and you run, we're going to pick on Phone's Jasper here for a minute, but happens with a lot of knives. If you go and you stick this knife, you're holding it back here, and you go and you stick this knife into a cardboard box, and you go just a little too far, what happens? You get stuck on the end of the blade, then you're trying to get it out. Well, that was a frustration for us with many knives, not just little knives. So we got to talking about it and thinking, and we use Spyderco knives quite often for those sorts of chores. And what happens with a Spyderco knife? Well, if I had one up here on the desk and I was prepared like I should be, I would show you. But I don't. So we're just going to have to imagine Spyderco knives. And the Spyderco knife, the edge always terminates right here. There's generally no sharpening choil. And a lot of times it's ugly how it ends up back here. So whenever we were talking with the Wee Knife Company who made this knife, we told them we wanted that. It was actually kind of a fuss back and forth, because they wanted to put sharpening choils in, because all the reviewers fuss about having a sharpening choil in a knife. And my God, we have to keep that's not what they said, but that's what they meant. Well, I said, well, I'm one of those guys and I want it this way. So that's kind of what we got. And that is the way it's designed, and it's designed so that you can cut into them boxes and you don't end up hooked on that box or anything else you may need to shove this blade into. So There you go. Let's get a good look at the knife. This is the first color of the Roxi, just your standard stonewash and standard stonewash handle with brass hardware and clip and backspacer. And the backspacer, that's another thing that we have been asked about. Why do you have such a big backspacer? Why a full-length backspacer? Why add that extra weight in there? Well, the way knives are today, we could spend a lot of time doing fancy milling out here that gathers crap and makes things unergonomic and not comfortable. Or we can spend some extra time designing and milling back here on this backspacer, and then you have full protection from the blade. You're not going to get cut by that blade. And you've got something cool. Now, neat thing on this particular model, once again, I'm not prepared, but we'll figure it out here. See that? Yep. You've got that big slot right there. You've got a hole to come out the bottom if you need to. And just kind of cool. That was one of the things that we stuck in there that, we thought people would find a use for. And if not, let us know and we'll quit doing that kind of thing. But we thought it was kind of neat. Now, there's going to be some fuss about fullers. My God, why'd you put a fuller in there? Well, the fuller is there for a very specific reason that I'm not going to tell you. And then, once we put it in there for that specific reason, we found out that there were bonuses to the fuller. One, it's a wide fuller. Is it going to catch crap? Yeah, it might, but it's wide enough you can just wipe it right out. And it's not terribly deep. So, what are the bonuses to the fuller? Well, without a blade hole, which the bigger knife has a blade hole, we'll look at it here in a minute, but without the blade hole, you can get the knife open. Notice where I'm putting my hand, the thumb to get that blade open. Way out there, where it's easier to get it off of the detent ball. Works the same in both hands. Hey, hitting that ambidextrous train here, and that is something that is pretty important. We did not do tip up left and right hand. That's something we wanted to do. We wanted to keep the clip design, and that would have raised the price for everybody to include two clips because we would have to mirror that clip for the other side. We may do something like that in the future, but we just couldn't pull it off on this one. We'd like to, but couldn't. Now, back to this fuller. Hey, what do you know? I got short fingernails right now and flicks out pretty good. I haven't tried this left-handed with the fuller, and you're not going to be able to pull it off because you got that lock bar in the way. But there you go. And having things where your general use was the same from hand to hand, with the exception of having to disengage the lock bar, is pretty important to us in all our designs. And consistency in the way that you use a knife from hand to hand. You see it in our Roxi, and I have a Roxi 4 here, and you see the same thing. Roxi 4, consistency. There are going to be some changes on the Roxi 4. I don't know. I haven't tried to, I suppose, yep. There you can flick that one. Thumb flick it with the other side, and you can do that a little tough, but there it is next to the Roxi 4. This is a 2.6 inch knife. This is a 4-inch knife. There you go. We will do some comparison here right quick with some of the other small knives on the market. And then I'm going to try to, at some point, do a live stream and get the Roxi in it. There is your Natrix. There's a wee rectifier. Little Isham knife. Mass drop gent. What else we got? Yeah, we got some here close. There's a small Sabenza 21 in Singo. So, in good company. The Roxi, well, like I said, I can't review it. 2.6 inches, 0.16 blade stock with a blade hardness of somewhere right around 60 in Bowler M390. Handle length of 3.7, 0.5 thick. It's all 6AL4B titanium as far as the handle goes. And all the hardware. And it's 3.8 ounces. So it is a tough little booger. It's not a lightweight. It was designed to be in that league with, you know, not the pillar, but more the techno and such. And I hope you guys enjoy it. We're sure enjoying it. Makes for quite the little beast. And I've got medium large hands, guys. Somebody's going to ask about that with a handle length of only about, 3.7 inches total. Your grip length, now I'm not going to review it, but there's my medium large hand around it. And there you go. And this forward choil is meant to be used. It's not really meant to be held back here because you want full engagement of your hand whenever you can. And this one's fresh out the box. I don't know if it's sharp or not, but we'll see. Yep, there you go. Anyhow, guys, we appreciate you guys' support. And this has been the Todd Knife and Tool Roxi. You guys have a wonderful day. The big one will be coming later on in 2019, probably about mid-year. And then you can have a pair. What a deal, you know. You guys have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.